fast lane when I pass in the street. Bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast racking at the flight miles. So high, I might never come down, so what, this is my lifestyle.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Sports Arena. I'm your man, Eric Wilson, on a beautiful, glorious, and happy Monday, Championship Monday evening here on the Sports Arena. I am in such a great mood, and you already know why. But in case you were doing something else last night, which for the love of Jesus, I don't know what else you could have been doing. Let's just remind the people, ladies and gentlemen, in my best Paul Heyman voice, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Eric Wilson, and I am one of the biggest fans for the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl 59 world champion, Philadelphia Eagles. And I did not come alone, ladies and gentlemen. I brought my guy. Haven't talked to him since, last week when we was on Radio Row together. It is truly an honor whenever I can bring another fan, someone who is just as passionate, someone who is just as brings the heat, the attitude, the whole shebang each and every week on his show, The Gauntlet. My man, Philly Jim, is in the building. Good evening, sir. What's up, baby?
What's up with you, man? That was a hell of an introduction.
Yeah, we the champs. That's all I care about right now, man. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. How are you? Glad to see you are back home safe. My man, talk to me about what is going on in our city of brotherly love.
It's terrific, man. You go everywhere. Last night, everybody's honking the horns. People are doing crazy stuff, climbing the poles, climbing on garbage trucks. It was funny because I was in the city and I just saw the guys in the trucks just sitting there like in disgust because they just want to go home and they ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, man. I can only imagine what the energy is like. Now, I found out today, and correct me if I'm wrong, the parade has been pushed till Friday. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Confirmed. Wow.
Valentine's Day, and we're having an Eagles Super Bowl parade going down Broad Street.
Cancel those reservations. There's the parade.
Yeah. Cancel all your Valentine's Day plans because Broad Street's going to be packed from morning till noon. Now, are you going to the parade? Let me ask that question.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hell or high water, I will be there.
Man, let's talk about last night really quick. And I want to bring in a friend of the family member of the show, of course. She is the Queen of Hoop, Miss Megan Price, joining us back. I want to bring Megan in for part of this conversation. Yes. Megan, what is going on? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are y'all? Let me fix my
camera. I'm good. And I got to ask both of you this question because we had our picks and we, of course, Philly Jim and I, we bleed green. Right. Megan, you being a member of the NFC East, I mean, I'm sure part of you wanted us to win, but I think more of you wanted us to lose. So you wanted to listen to me and him all year long.
No. I didn't want anybody to really lose like that. When you don't have a dog in the fight, you really don't care particularly. As far as Philly goes, I think they've really kind of won over America. Like they're incredibly likable at this moment. And I mean, they have a great quarterback. He's never in the news for any bull. He's very intelligent. His wife or fiance, is intelligent as well. Very respectable couple. Jason Kelce, what can you say about Jason Kelce? I know he wasn't a part of this Super Bowl, but as a part of the Philadelphia Eagles franchise, incredibly likable guy. Just as a whole, and even Nick Sirianni, like all the drama that he had in the first part of the season compared to now. Even Jalen and the receivers that were having problems in the locker room. It's just kind of
there was never a problem. There was never a problem, Megan. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
I think what happened. I'm telling you what happened. They decided, hey, whatever drama we got to decide to hate our opponents more than we hate this bull right now in the locker room. And they took it out on their opponents since about week 8. There was no more winning games in an ugly fashion. They just looked incredibly dominant. So going into this matchup, I didn't think that Philly was going to win. I thought it was going to be close, though. I thought it was going to be a 3-point differential. 28-31. That's kind of what I thought it would be. And clearly that it was not that from the very first drive. What a show out for Philly. What can you say? I don't know. I can't hate on them whatsoever.
Oh, we can say a lot. I just want to let you get it
Well,
in.
and y'all can have it.
I'm going to go to Philly Jim on this one and say, man, when we were in New Orleans this week and you could feel the energy in Radio Row, you could feel the energy in the city, but you being there and then going back to Philly to watch this game last night, man, talk to me about what you saw. Because I have my own personal thoughts and feelings behind it, but I want to know from you, another Philly guy, what was it about this game that really just reminded you, me, us, and the whole world who our team really is?
Yeah, so we were also there 2 years ago when this team was in the Super Bowl. And one thing I'll say from being there and talking to the players and everything, it just really felt different than the first time. It was hard when you're asking questions and then everything's just blunt answer. And you could kind of feel there was a different level of focus within the team. And that's kind of how it was when they came out in the game. So everything sort of made sense. I believe everyone kind of knew the Eagles were the better team going in, but there's always something about some sort of mystique. So you don't really have a real reason. You just can keep regurgitating the same thing. Well, you can't bet against Patrick Mahomes and you can't bet against the Chiefs. But based off how the Chiefs have looked throughout the season, having only one game where they scored over 30 points, this Chiefs team looked very vulnerable and beatable, much more than 2 years ago. So I know as much people are surprised that the Eagles won in dominating fashion, the Eagles were just a much better team. So for me, it really wasn't that surprising.
I mean, listen, we know the score is not indicative of how this game was played, okay? First off, for Kansas City to be held to 0 points in the entire first half of a Super Bowl, to me, simply unheard of. Something that I thought I would never really see in a Super Bowl matchup where you have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce led by Andy Reid, and on the flip side, you have Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and Steve Spagnuolo running that defense. If someone would have told me, I would not have bet my house that they would not score in the first half. But this game, clearly, as much as I was still on pins and needles in the third quarter, because I really didn't really grasp it until I saw Kenny Pickett come in, and I was like, oh, we doing this now? This is what we really doing? But for us to have this kind of statement game on the biggest stage in front of all eyes, the question I think needs to be asked to both you and Megan is, what does this say about the Super Bowl MVP and Jalen Hurts? And Jim, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so Jalen has been scrutinized and criticized almost more than any quarterback in the league. I don't understand. Wins a lot of games, does what he needs to do. And his quote, his phrase, always keep the main thing the main thing. The main thing is just doing what it takes to win. The numbers, it does not matter. So we've also seen that throughout the season. Saquon Barkley has been an engine of the offense, but when it's time to throw the ball, Jalen goes out and executes the game. Same thing happened in the Steelers game. He comes to the podium and says, so that's what y'all want to see. Just because we don't mean we can't. And on the biggest stage and biggest moments, NFC Championship, also had a terrific game against the Commanders, terrific game, Super Bowl MVP. And when he threw that dime to Devontae Smith, that's when you really knew that the Eagles were going to be world champions. And Jalen Hurts, what a performance, putting all the doubters quiet for a little bit.
Very true. Because we know now you go from being the hunter to being the hunted. But Megan, again, as someone who has, and I have, and there has been one moment in my entire life where I have had to apologize to Jalen because I honestly thought that there might have been some validity to what the media pundits were saying. And I was like, I had to remind myself, wait, no. This is your team. You know what they're capable of. When you look at what Jalen has done, talk to me just about what you feel is going to be his, his next move now, because he has silenced some of the critics, and as Philly Jim said, for a period of time.
I think the biggest thing about Jalen's game that impresses me so much is, and especially pairing him with Saquon, is that yes, of course, he's a quarterback and he throws the ball just fine. He's not necessarily the best gunslinger out there, but he's good, very good. But having him being so mobile, being able to move around, if Saquon's on one side, he can hit the other side. He just doesn't get stuck in the pocket. But what a difference maker for this season, I feel like, was that offensive line. The amount of time that he had in the pocket to make his decisions and be able to square up and make the throw that he needed to make, that came from that offensive line. And they weren't entirely healthy in the first part of the season. So that was what stood out for me. Now, next move for Jalen is going to be obviously getting back to that stage. And what we know happens every time somebody's team is in the Super Bowl, their coaching staff, and a lot of times a few free agents leave during the off season. So overcoming and rebuilding, because every team looks different. Every season is different. And so it's not going to be the exact same team next year.
And we recognize that. We listen.
Right.
I mean,
we saw it happen 2 years ago. And they
right.
figured it out. But last year, the new coordinators, it didn't quite look right. And so that's what this next season is going to look like, because we already saw that Kellen Moore not leaving the city of New Orleans. So far be it for me to compliment Kellen Moore. But I do think that he did well this year. And that could be somewhat of a loss, Now, I don't know where directly all the play calling and I don't know. I guess the congratulations should go to, if that is all on Kellen, or if him and Nick both did that together collectively, or if Jalen was a part of that as well. So, I don't really know the inner workings of the team. However, they just won the Super Bowl. So, I mean, losing your offensive coordinator is going to matter. It's going to matter who you replace that person with.
Right. No, completely agree. Philly Jim, I'm going to give you the final word before I go to break, because I just got word. I've got someone still in New Orleans, and she, like you and I, is a huge fan. And so I want to get her take on this. So final word from you, my brother, then I'm going to run the break and come back.
Just keep the main thing. Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champs. Thanks for having me on the show. And hopefully we'll see each other again down the road, man. Next year.
We definitely will. Definitely will. Hey, Megan Price, my man, Philly Jim. Make sure you catch Megan, 806 Sports, every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Amarillo, Texas. She does a phenomenal job representing the WNBA, representing the NBA, the NFL, and minor league baseball.
Unrivaled.
As well. Yes, and the Unrivaled League. Yes. My man, Philly Jim, catch him, Sideline Sports, The Gauntlet, all the facets. I mean, the LinkedIn podcast, it is phenomenal. Thank you both for being a part of tonight. Yo, hey, fly, Eagles, fly, baby. We got that dub. Much love to both of y'all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, when I come back, I got a special guest live in New Orleans. Everybody stay tuned. I'm just getting started. Your man, Eric Wilson, for the Sports Arena. I'll be back in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Sports Arena. Man, Eric Wilson, man, still smiling high because, as you know, the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. I had the privilege of hanging out with this young lady while we were on Radio Row. Host of the Blonde Blitz, my girl Deb Wickus, is still live in New Orleans. Deb, what is going on? How are you?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me. It's still lit here in NOLA. Everyone's still on their Birds gear. It's not as quite as a party as it was on Sunday night, but people are still partying, still wearing their Birds stuff, going Go Birds everywhere on Frenchman Street, on Bourbon Street. We're having a blast here still.
Oh my goodness! All right, so I
the
gotta
party
ask
hasn't
you because,
stopped.
oh, good. Listen, that is a phenomenal feeling to be having happen not only in NOLA but to have it, back home in Philly. But Deb, I got to ask you, watching this game as intently as I know we both do, was there ever a point last night where you felt this game was ours?
To be honest, from the first snap, I was like, this is us. Like, we got this. I don't know why I thought it. Maybe I was wishful thinking. But the Birds just looked locked in from the start. Like, they were going for it. They were not letting Kansas City win. I think, though, around halftime, when the score was still 0 and we were up, several points at that point, I think at that point, I was like, all right, we got this. Like, let's get into the third quarter. And, they obviously scored. But the first time they scored, I was a little bummed. I have to be honest. I wanted to shut out, but there was way too much time on the clock for that. That was really wishful thinking. But, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The Eagles put their backup quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like, that's how much we won this game. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Kenny Pickett showed up and I was like, wait, really? This is what we're doing right now? I was like, okay. Yep. But even then, when the score was 34-0, I'm here, I'm watching the game, and it became 34-6. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I do not need this game to be reminiscent of the Falcons-Patriots game from years ago. And I was just like, if
you really thought that?
Listen, we've seen it happen before. And
we have.
Tom Brady is the GOAT, and Patrick Mahomes is at some point going to be the heir apparent. So it was one of those instances for me where I was like, okay, really? I'm like, I don't need to see a tale of two halves here. Let us not rest on our laurels. All gas, no break, as I said. Let's just keep this thing moving forward. But I will say this to you. By the fourth quarter, that is when I knew that as long as we controlled the clock, which we did for the entire game, this was ours. This was ours to have.
Yeah, I think definitely in the fourth quarter. And like I said, when I saw Pickett go on the field, I was like, we got this. It's over. Like, we have this game. People were stunned in the stands. I have to be honest. When the score was still at 0. Ooh, we've got a truck coming. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. That's all right.
When we were just like, is this really happening? Are we really dominating this game like this? Like, this is insane. Like, we expected the Eagles to win. We all did. We didn't expect them to win it by that much. I was going around saying 31-28. Lee Steinberg said 31-28, but Kansas City. So, yeah, I mean, people were like, this is going to be a tight game. And, it's going to be a good tight game. And it was a good game, but it definitely wasn't tight. I mean, the Eagles dominated the entire time.
I mean, listen, the late 2 scores to make it 40-22 being the final score, we all know what that was. That was just garbage time. That was just,
exactly. They had to do something.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. All right. So
they're playing against like third stringers at that point. I feel like they weren't even playing against the first string,
Everybody was still in, but can we talk about this man right here? Super Bowl MVP. Can the conversation to the rest of the world, not to us, but to the rest of the world, can the conversation finally be established that 3 men in 7 years that Patrick Mahomes has been in the NFL have beaten him in the postseason? One is Tom Brady. The other one is Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship game. And now Jalen Hurts. That is rarefied air in the lifespan of Patrick Mahomes. We knew this. The world needs to know about this. Deb, how do you feel about our quarterback?
I think he solidified himself with this win. And it's interesting you asked me this question because when I was in Media Row, on Radio Row, a friend of mine, I won't say who, but I was doing an interview, and then he proceeded to ask me, where do you think the weakness lies in the Eagles? And I turned to him and I said, there is no weakness. And he looked at me and laughed. And now he's laughing. You know what I mean? Now I'm the one laughing because he hit. And I was like, wait, where do you think the weakness is? And he goes, I'm not sold on Jalen Hurts. And I was like, you're wrong. Watch what he can do. And, you know, I watched him you watched him in the press conferences. I was there too. And just the way he was speaking and the confidence. And I was like, this is our franchise quarterback. He's ready to dominate this game. And obviously he did. And, you know, and I was lucky enough to be at the post conference today, and he talked all about the journey, and, you know, the journey is what matters. And I thought it was interesting that he talked about the game, you know, in Arizona that they lost and how that really motivated him to win this one. So he talked all about that.
Yeah. I mean, and to have a memory become your screensaver for 2 years.
Yep.
As a daily reminder of what potentially could have been to now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know you saw the picture of him and the spotlight on him as the confetti is dropping in the Caesar Superdome, which you are conversely nearby. I mean, it has just been amazing. Deb, thank you so much for joining me. I knew I could not do this show without you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Hey, safe travels back to wherever, Philly, Cali, it doesn't matter. I so look forward to hanging out with you again. We're going to do this again. Yes. But ladies and gentlemen, Deb Whitkiss, the Blonde Blitz, make sure you check her out as our Super Bowl Eagles are Super Bowl 59 champions. Deb, much love to you. I'm going to holler at you. Stay blessed.
Go Birds. All right, you too. See you soon, guys.
Thank you. Go Birds. Hey, your man Eric Wilson for the Sports Arena. I will be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere, man. This has been an amazing show, and we're going to keep it rocking all the way till the end. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, a huge thank you to Deb Whitkiss, a huge thank you to Megan Price, and of course to my man James Tatum for being on the show this evening. You know, it is truly a blessing when I get to have my next guest joining me, because these guys truly make me better, and I love the conversation that we have. So, of course, I got to hang out with my brother, the Playmaker, in the building with me from New Orleans. Man, it is so good to see you again. I'm glad you're back home safe and sound. The jet lag didn't hit you too hard, I hope.
Oh, no, on the way back. Oh, no, that was nothing.
Okay. All right. Just listen, full transparency, y'all. I didn't realize that when this brother flew to New Orleans, it was his first time flying. I was like, wait, what? I mean, that's just me. I just thought everybody flew at some point, but having him join me on Radio Row, just being a part of the week, man, it was phenomenal. But my man coming to the stage, all I can say is each and every time I call him, he shows up. That's why I love the Sports Reporter Without Pay being in the building. My man, Ray Lynn, man, much love, fam. So glad to see you, man. I'm glad that you are here tonight, especially to have this conversation, because I got a lot of questions that I feel only you can answer. And then lastly, I got to bring this guy in here only because I know
you don't have to.
You're right. I don't have to. But in essence of trying to be better, and I'm celebrating, so I'm going to let everybody get their shine on at some point. My man, Mike Carrot-Tenuto, no camera. Okay, that's fine. We can look at a blank screen. It's all right. I get it. But gentlemen,
the shame.
What?
The shame.
The same Mike Carrot-Tenuto? What am I missing?
He's ashamed. He had to watch the Eagles. He had to watch the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Someone had to do it. If it wasn't going to be me, it was going to be somebody else. It wasn't going to be Dallas. We know that for a fact. But gentlemen, we are here to talk about Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. And man, let me just say, first and foremost, I was in awe of how my team performed last night. I knew what they were capable of. And in my heart, you know me, I'm a true fanatic. Okay. I make no reservations about who I love and who I support. I am very complimentary of this team, but I'm also very critical of this team. But to watch what they did last night against a Patrick Mahomes led offense and a Chris Jones, George Karlaftis led defense with two future Hall of Fame coaches in Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, it just seemed like, as we always say about the Chiefs are playing chess and everybody else is playing checkers. That was a true role reversal last night. So, Ray, let me ask you, man, when you watch this game, was there anything that really made you just pump the brakes and say, well, damn, the Eagles are the best team?
No, I mean, like, you know what this reminds me of, E? You remember last year? Not your Super Bowl year. Y'all went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago. You remember last year, the Eagles were winning games all year, and every single week we would get on the show and go, man, they winning, but it don't look right. Right. Like all year, we kept saying they're winning games, but they don't look like the same team that was in the Super Bowl last year. And this is going to peak his head at the most inopportune time. And it was the playoffs. That's what Kansas City was all year this year. There was never a time where you went, Kansas City looks like the best team in football. At least not for me, right? I'm arguing with people in comments all year about saying we was the best team in football. And Kansas City. Yeah, you can never count out Reed. You can never count out 15 come playoff time. And they made it to the Super Bowl. And again, at the most inopportune time, all those problems that we saw during the season, right? They reared their head all at the same time. Like I didn't expect it to be that bad, but I'm not like shocked that the Eagles won. And they outplayed them from the opening kick to, it was a complete beatdown. I hate I missed that last conversation when James was on here because we're going to have to pump the brakes on the Jalen Hurts stuff. But
wait, I'm going to get to Darnell, then we're going to talk about Jalen because we're not pumping the brakes on anything with him.
Yeah,
we're not pumping the brakes. Let me get to Playmaker real quick. Playmaker, if I told you in the Super Bowl, Mahomes would be 21 for 32, 257, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 6 sacks, would you have believed me?
Yes.
Why? How? You're not even a fan of my team, so that's why I'm saying. How would you?
I sat here. I don't know if Eric remember this, hearing me saying this or not, but I told several people. I said the winner of the Philadelphia Eagles Los Angeles Rams game is going to the Super Bowl, and they must.
Yes, you did say. I remember you saying that. Yes.
I said I just have that feeling, and it wasn't about what the other team is. I don't care if it was Kansas City or somebody else. Is the fact that D line for Philly is the truth. And it wasn't even Jalen Carter. I said, oh, Lord, it's the edges. Oh, boy, Patrick Mahomes running for his life. This wouldn't be one of them games for him. Reminiscent of Tampa Bay. Tackles getting beaten. I already knew. I said, oh. And then when the birthday 6 happened, I said, yep, Philly got it. Philly got it because Patrick Mahomes running for his life. The tackles ain't doing good. And then you ain't have to worry about Jalen Carter wrecking the game because the edges was wrecking the game.
I listen, I feel you on all that. But to be just stomping a mud hole in a powerhouse team like the Chiefs, who we've always said this, since Patrick Mahomes became a starter, okay? His basement has been the AFC Championship game. He has been to multiple Super Bowls. He has won multiple Super Bowls. Yesterday, the world was wanting those who are Chiefs fans and those who are, I will say, true football fans. They wanted to see history be broken. They wanted to see the Chiefs get that three-peat. The only thing standing in Patrick Mahomes' way, to your point, was the Eagles' defense. Now, take myself out of the equation because, as you see, I bleed green. I'm about to add to what is already on this arm, okay? There was, I'll say 70% of the world who truly know the game of football and understand the game of football. They knew that as long as 15 and 87 were on the field, that the Chiefs were never, ever truly out of it. But to watch the defense, and I'm looking at it right now, Travis Kelce was targeted 6 times. He had 4 receptions for 39 yards. Tell me the last time that has happened to Travis Kelce in a Kansas City game, regular season, postseason, or Super Bowl. Don't worry, I'll wait. Thank you. That's my point.
It was probably earlier this year. You got to remember the first 5-6 weeks of the season, the question was, what's wrong with Travis Kelce?
Yeah, that was a question. But here's the thing, though. Let's put some context behind this Chiefs run. Because A lot of people in the media don't really talk about the context of how the Chiefs are the Chiefs. How did they get past the Baltimore Ravens in the NFC Championship game? Baltimore forgot who they was.
But that was last year.
No, follow me. They forgot who they was.
Okay. All right.
They forgot about running the ball. Why? That's what got you there. Why you choose not to run against this team all of a sudden? Let's go to the Buffalo Bills. How did they lose? For some reason, you forgot about James Cook, who was averaging 6.5 yards a carry in the game. Why you stop doing what you've been doing when you're coming against this team? For some reason, against this team, whoever the opponent is, it's like they forget how they got there. Philly did not forget how they got there. Saquon Barkley didn't have the greatest game.
Nope.
But he still got how many carries did he get?
He got 25 carries, 57 yards.
Yeah, 25, yeah.
They didn't forget who they were against the Chiefs. They didn't try to do something they didn't do.
I don't know if I agree with that. Because if so, when we say teams forgot who they were, a lot of times when you're please take her wherever. A lot of times when you get in a game against Patrick Mahomes, at some point, whatever it was, especially like Baltimore, right? You're gonna have to abandon ship because you got to put points on the board. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times running ain't gonna get you there. So Philly was in a position where they never had to abandon ship because the defense held them up. Like you never had to they never got into a position where it was like we have to outscore them to win. Like they're playing catch up now. So now we have because the running game wasn't working. Like if put it like this, if Kansas City scores 14 in the first half, if it's fifths, right? But we're looking at a different game. Saquon ain't gonna get 25 carries, not the way they were stuffing the run.
Right.
So they had a luxury of jumping out to a huge lead, which credit to them. That again, they outplayed them from the opening kick. But if it's different, like if Kansas City is scoring, then Philly you'd have been saying the same thing today. You'd have been like Philly lost because they forgot who they was. No, Kansas City makes teams forget who they were. And again, the offense ain't what won this game. Philly forgetting or remembering who they was. The Super Bowl MVP is Vic Fangio. That's the Super Bowl MVP. And this is reminiscent.
You ain't wrong.
This has happened numerous times, man. I did an article about this where everybody, quarterbacks is the highest paid players. And I say it all the time. Some guys are the exception to the rule. When Kansas City was winning early, like in Mahomes' career, they were just out. Like you had to put up 35 to beat them. And then they just shifted all of a sudden to a tough-nosed, smash-mouth football team. They play defense, and they just win. Like, Mahomes went from airing it out to a game manager somehow, and then with the game on the line, Mahomes is going to do what Mahomes do. But we've seen time after time again in the past 10 years, phenomenal quarterbacks get absolutely destroyed in the Super Bowl. Cam Newton's MVP year, what did Denver do to him in the Super Bowl?
Shut him down.
Muzzle.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning, what did Seattle do to him in the Super Bowl? What did Tampa Bay do to Mahomes the last time?
Right.
And then what did Philly just do to Mahomes? It's not a new thing to see a quarterback get to the biggest stage and all of a sudden, what did I can't say the Rams shut Joe Burrow down, but they did enough, right? And then Stafford made the plays. But it happens a lot, man. And Philly they didn't just make Superman look normal. They made him look mediocre. Like if you can make Mahomes look mediocre, you're going to beat that. They come and go as he goes. So they made him look mediocre. What you said, Philly didn't forget who they were. Their success plan all year isn't what won the Super Bowl. Saquon ran for 2,000 yards this season. If I told you before the game Saquon's going to have 52 yards rushing, do you think Philly wins?
No.
Nobody says
because
that.
Right.
Like
you're right.
The defense, man, that was again, it ranks up there, if not the best performance I've seen from a defense in the Super Bowl, right along with those other ones I talked about. Like what they did when they did that to Peyton Manning, that was when he was in Denver breaking those records. And then Denver did the same thing to Cam Newton. And again, that the game against Tampa Bay, they said Mahomes ran for like 200 yards. That's what he looked like yesterday. Run all over the place.
Running
That
for his life.
defense. Oh, it was
Hey,
bad.
Mike, chime in, man. Where you at?
I am right here. What up?
Nothing, man. We've been
Congratulations,
talking
Ray.
about this, and
Ray,
thank you,
everything
sir.
you just said, Ray, everything you just said, absolutely phenomenal. I stopped listening to people today, Eric, in honor of you, because if I have to hear one more moron say the game was boring because, the defense rocked, like, and I agree with you, Ray. Like Vic Fangio, like, I mean, that's MVP. When you don't blitz once in a Super Bowl, and Eric, I get it if a team doesn't blitz, and again, hats off, man. I'm sitting there with Mama, and she's like, God, Eric must be so happy. I go, yes, Mom. Eric's very happy. Every touchdown, Mama Caratenuto remembered, Eric's very happy. Eric's very happy. She kept saying,
I
that.
was
30. I know, exactly. So, but look, that.
But I was also very nervous.
He was nervous.
Oh no,
I
I get it going into the game. I get it. And
No.
During the game,
Mike,
he was nervous.
I was nervous. Listen to me. I was nervous even after halftime.
With
When
good
the
reason.
score was 34-6,
mm-hmm.
people in my house were like, the game's over. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, we've seen that Mahomes and the Chiefs at any given time, when they want to, can turn this on. And I did not want this game to be a tale of two halves, where we dominate in the first half.
Right. But even to piggyback off of what you said, Ray, like, I mean, Mahomes, like, he's not like, and Brady even mentioned it. I mean, you look at his feet, and quarterbacks moving their feet to adjust to a receiver looking a safety off is one thing. Dude, the game Sweat played, I mean, I kept saying, I'm like, man, I'm like, they have 6 sacks. I'm like, when he got his second one, I'm like, man, if Sweat gets 2 more sacks, he could win MVP. And I loved how Hurts played. I mean, you guys talked about that. That was freaking phenomenal. That defensive performance, to not have to blitz once, or to not even call one blitz, and your front four, and to even piggyback more off your point, Ray, I mean, they kept him. I mean, Mahomes stepped up, and there was a few times he was going east-west, but they kept him in that pocket. I mean, so whatever Vic Fangio and whatever Nick Sirianni, whatever he contributed to the defensive meetings, that was a masterpiece. I mean, I remember being a kid seeing, I mean, like Ray saying, like, I mean, I think you said that, like, the 85 Bears. I mean, I just remember that whole season, and then even the Super Bowl, to just make another team in a Super Bowl look that just inept.
Pedestrian.
And to do it to Kansas City, that's what Philly's defense did. And I think my mom, hold on. My mom just messaged me again and said, you're very happy.
Listen, for Fangio, I truly applaud him, because this was a man who never gave up, whether he was a head coach, a D coordinator, whatever. Up until yesterday, he was 0-8 against Mahomes. 0-8. And then to finally get that first win on the biggest stage, there's no question about it. Listen, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nakobe Dean, Brandon Graham with a partially torn tricep who came back, Zach Bond, Reed Blankenship. Yeah, happy birthday to Cooper DeJean and his pick 6. Happy birthday also to Saquon Barkley for getting his first championship. But this comment really here, yes. Right here, if you can tell me I can have an elite GM or an elite coach, shout out to Howie. I have to agree with that sentiment, because Howie Roseman and what he did over the last 3 seasons, bringing in the talent that he brought in, and granted, some of those players, we were blessed that they fell to us. And I will gladly say that. Sometimes it is better to be lucky than to be good. But the skillfulness of those players that we brought in is the difference maker, and then putting them with the right coach. Kellen Moore on the offensive side. We done went through the Matt Patricias of the world. We done went through so many DCs to finally get a Vic Fangio, someone who understood what it took and got that team to buy into what he was selling. Oh, it didn't matter who you threw in. But at that time, it was necessary, because to watch this team, even after the 2-2 start, an early bye week, to string the victories that the Philadelphia Eagles got, only said to me, okay, when people said this team was complete, I was like, yes, I believed they were complete.
Shout out to the Giants.
Thank you. Thank you to the New York Giants. Yeah, we appreciate it. I was
going to say, you also got stupidity within the division as well, outside of Washington.
Right. Thank you, New York Giants, for saying, hey, 30% of our offense in a playoff year can just go to Philly, no problem. That pass from Hurts though to Smith.
Oh yeah, the dagger.
Again,
It was a dagger. That was
obviously
it.
ridiculous.
It was done. It was over.
But yeah, man, and even your boy Howie Roseman, even your boy Howie, man. I mean, you put together a team, you find a guy that's playing hand in the ground and then goes to middle linebacker, has an interception in the Super Bowl, which was, again, it was sick catch there. Like, dude, but yeah, that dime to Smith. I mean, the fact that the arm's right there probably could have called interference anyway, and he just takes it from him like, sorry, that's mine. That was just an utterly insane complete performance.
I want to get to this conversation because Ray brought it up. Jalen Hurts, Super Bowl MVP. Ray, I see the look on your face. So I'm going to let you have your moment and talk to me about this because I got some words about my boy right here winning not only his first chip, but also silencing a lot of people.
Silencing people in terms of what, though?
Silencing people in terms of, like we say with Lamar Jackson, okay? Every time Lamar does something, the goalpost gets moved. With Jalen, and I'll take the last 2 seasons, there was conflict. There were issues within the locker room with him and AJ and the passing game. There was issues with his composure because he was always very even keel. And it was a question of, well, when are we going to see Jalen as this fired up guy? When are we going to see Jalen pass for 350 and throw 4 touchdowns? But yet he's winning games, but it was never to the liking of most people. They wanted to see him go out there and do what Patrick does, what Josh does, Lamar does, Joe Burrow does, Herbert does, Tua does. You know what I mean? It was all of those critics that he had to silence and simply say, I'm going to do me. I'm going to keep doing me. And whether you like it or not, I'm going to be in the guy in the record books who is going to change the narrative on how you think about me. Not that I care, but just to finally let y'all know I can get the job done. Because to be one of 3 men to beat Mahomes in the postseason or Super Bowl, that is rarefied company. Brady did it. Burrow did it. And now Jalen has done it.
It is and it's not, though. Right? Like, like I'm on record year after year, sports conversation after sports conversation, on saying we put so much emphasis on wins and losses with quarterbacks when it's so much more than that, right? Like when you look at that game last night, when you look back at this game 10 years from now, and you're not a Philly fan, like right now when I talked about what happened to Peyton Manning, what happened to Cam Newton, right? Do you remember who was the Super Bowl MVP when Denver beat Carolina?
Von Miller.
Von Miller. Do you remember who was the Super Bowl MVP when Seattle beat Denver?
It's another linebacker.
The point I'm making is, we remember the dominant performances by the defenses. I think when we look back at this game 10 years from now, what we saw from that defense won't ever be replicated. Not ever, but it's one of those things that doesn't happen a lot. Me watching a quarterback throw for 220 yards, I see it all the time. All the time. Jalen Hurts didn't do anything yesterday that would make me change whatever my opinion of him was. Besides,
but what was your opinion of him, though? Let me ask that question. What was your opinion of Jalen? And let's just take the 3 years between Super Bowl appearances.
Right. So
what was your opinion?
I was never too high or too low on Jalen Hurts. But again, last year, where a lot of the talk came from was people forget Jalen Hurts. The year y'all went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, he finished second in MVP voting too.
And he was the best player on the and he was the best player on the field that day too.
He put up some numbers. Like he had a hell of a year. And then last year, the questions were legit. It was what happened to Philly, and more importantly, what happened to Jalen Hurts. Those were the questions last year. So then this year, the questions subsided a little bit because it was kind of what happened to Jalen Hurts, but it was like, oh, this is what they're going to do. They're going to give it to Saquon 25 a game, good to go. And it worked. So the same questions that were there last year were there this year, but the answer was they're committing to the run game. I watched a whole video on that where they talked about the conversations that were had amongst the coaches, the coordinators, and the offensive players. That this is what we're about to do. And they said for it to work, Jalen had to be okay with it. Hey, like as he said earlier, we're going to keep the – no, that was James that said that. Keeping the main thing. Hey, as long as we win it. The only person who wasn't happy about it was A.J. Brown, which I don't know how much of his contract is tied up in incentives, right? Like if you're a receiver and you out there just running around while Saquon running the ball, you're probably not happy. Receivers have always been divas. But if you question Jalen Hurts' ability or his play, nothing he did yesterday was different than anything else I've ever seen from him, good or bad. He wasn't any better yesterday than he's ever been. He wasn't any worse yesterday than he's ever been. If people look at yesterday and go, he's a Super Bowl MVP now. Okay, so what does that mean? Does that change the tier of quarterbacks you put him in? Not for me. Is Jalen Hurts elite?
It does. I'm not going elite status.
Okay, as long
I'm not going
elite status. But what I am saying,
we in agreement with that, then I'm cool.
We are in agreement with that. Jalen Hurts is not elite yet. That's what I'm gonna say. What I will say to you though is to be able to go out there and do what he did on his terms and conditions, not based on the noise that was coming from left, right, east, west, north, south. It doesn't matter.
Real quick, E, do you think it was his terms and conditions?
I do. I do.
Like,
I do. Because think of it like this. For all the talk about him and the apparent conversations or non-conversations that were being had between him and Sirianni, for all the talk of when AJ made the comment about what needs to get better and he said passing, and then the following game, Jalen goes out there and throws dimes to AJ, Devontae, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert, Calcaterra, and the rest of the crew. And then to look at the media and say, so that's what y'all wanted? You understand what I'm saying? Jalen did things on Jalen time. He didn't do things on his time. He didn't do things on anybody else's time.
I don't think Jalen went to Sirianni and said, hey, man, you know what? I don't need to throw it 20 times a game. Like when you just said that, you said something about earlier, you said, Jalen doesn't have to go out and throw for 350 and 4 touchdowns. Here's a newsflash. Jalen didn't throw no more than 2 touchdowns, not one time this year. Not once, not a single game.
And they won
the playoffs.
The bottom line is when you have a running back, the talent of a Saquon Barkley, the talent of a Derrick Henry, the talent of a Jahmyr Gibbs, the talent of these other top running backs, what do? You pound the pavement and you run the ball.
But those guys you just named, right? In defense, playing devil's advocate, the guys you just named, right? I didn't even realize Jahmyr Gibbs shared time all year with David Montgomery and still finished 5th in the league in rushing, which is crazy, right? Goff still threw for 4,000. Derrick Henry was in MVP talks early in the season. Lamar still threw for 45. So, like,
Ray, how many games
did Jalen Hurts? Huh?
How many games did Gibbs miss too?
None.
No,
he didn't miss any games?
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery started missing at the end, and Gibbs
Montgomery missed, but Gibbs
went to another level. Again, I want to make sure we talking 2 different things. His performance last night, again, he did what he's done all year. He did what he needed to do to win the game. The defense, to me, was the key factor. Like Jalen Hurts' play last night, to me, wasn't the driving force. But as the quarterback and the fact that Saquon couldn't get going last night, Jalen Hurts made every throw he needed to make, and they won the game. His number's not going to jump off the page at you. There was not a play, the pass to Smith. Other than that, there wasn't a play that you went, oh. I think in the third quarter, though, he broke open the run that was like.
Oh, yeah, he broke open the run for about, I think, 6. It was like
17. Kansas City was 18. Trying to build some momentum, and they had him at third and whatever. And he made every play he needed to. But I've seen all that from him before, right? So the conversation is if somebody goes, well, Jalen Hurts is this tier, right? What he reminds me, the same as my guy. Throw for 4,000, we win 15 games, and people go, he's still not elite. Like, people look at Jared Goff and go, he's not elite. They just don't see it. We talk about winning games. Alex Smith won before Mahomes got to Kansas City. They were still winning 11, 12, and 13 games, and nobody just saw with Alex Smith. I think Jalen Hurts is better than those guys. I think he's like in that – to me, Jalen Hurts is right there in that Dak Prescott probably
no, I'm sorry, he's not. I'm sorry, he's above them. He's above Dak Prescott.
No,
he's above Dak Prescott.
The only argument you have is him over Dak Prescott is now he's a Super Bowl MVP.
Just as an individual
talent, As an
And he's
individual,
one more
I can say it before the Super Bowl.
And
no, Dak Prescott just played.
Because
Sorry, Mike.
Okay.
He plays for one of the worst organizations. Like, if you swap Dak and Jalen Hurts, is Philly better?
No.
So basically, you're saying if you swap
I would
them,
say they're
you
not
probably,
worse.
you probably get the
they're
same.
not worse.
You'll get the same result.
No, you
All
won't.
I'm saying is this:
If Dallas,
there's a
okay,
tier.
I can't believe I'm about to say this. If Jalen Hurts played in Dallas, Dallas would, granted, they would still be a 12-5 team, but they would be a lot further in the postseason than they have been. If Dak played on Philadelphia, Philadelphia would probably be the third team in the NFC East.
Oh, that's tough because that's put again. Yeah. I put them.
We see what Washington is doing, and I'm just telling you right now. You put Dak on. You put Jalen in Dallas.
You know why
that's
I disagree
going to catapult
with you?
them.
You know why I disagree with you? Because you just talked about it before we came on. Who is your GM?
Howie Roseman.
He will put the represent pieces around Dak.
Yeah, that's why.
Unlike somebody in Dallas.
I'm simply saying because I don't want this to be a thing where we're now tearing your quarterback down. Right. The MVP of the Philadelphia Eagles 2024-25 season was Saquon Barkley. The MVP of the Super Bowl. It's kind of like 2015. The MVP of the team is Steph Curry. The MVP of the finals is Iggy. Jalen Hurts is the Super Bowl MVP. Y'all don't get there without Saquon. Right?
Agreed. And our defense. I agree with you.
Listen, again, that defense. You remember Peyton Manning's last Super Bowl he won?
Yeah.
Anybody on this call could have won that Super Bowl.
That defense was something else.
I'm not saying that's what Jalen did. I'm saying he didn't have to do a lot to win yesterday. And what he needed to do, he did. Again, I was being respectful, putting him in the tier, I think, with Dak. The other guy I was about to name is the kid out of the Chargers, right? Herbert, Dak, Jalen, maybe two. Like those guys are in that second echelon of quarterbacks. It's Mahomes by itself to me, even though what happened yesterday, it's still Mahomes by itself.
Yes.
And then there's Lamar, Burrow, and Allen.
But you've got to put Jalen in with them now.
No.
Now? Yes.
I can't.
Okay.
I can't, man.
You don't have to listen.
Eric,
you don't have to. What I am saying is Jalen did something that only one of those three guys have done. Jalen has done something that only one of those three guys have done. And those guys have had multiple opportunities to beat Kansas City, to beat Patrick Mahomes. Lamar has had multiple opportunities. Playmaker talked about it earlier. Josh Allen's had opportunities. Joe Burrow's had opportunities. He was successful one time. What I am simply saying to you, and I love the conversation about, Jalen plays in the NFC. Stick him in the AFC. How would he fare? I'm sorry. Jalen last year, when the team had that 10-game win streak and then fell off, he did beat Patrick Mahomes. He did beat Josh Allen. Let's transfer forward to this year. The AFC North was owned by the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts and our defense. So stick him over in the AFC. And then there would be a true matchup every year of who was coming out of the AFC. I firmly believe if the Philadelphia Eagles were in the AFC, every year they'd still be in the playoffs and they'd be one of the teams that we'd be talking about who's going to beat Patrick. Is it going to be Josh? Is it going to be Lamar? Is it going to be Joe? Is it going to be Jalen? Jalen is in that conversation. He is in that tier.
I'm going to just let you be great, man, because I don't want, like, the guy's a Super Bowl MVP, and that's what we should be talking about. I don't want to make it like, he's still not. Like, he's the current Super Bowl champ, Super Bowl MVP, but look, a lot of people going to start having conversations they shouldn't be having, and
I'm not putting him above.
But that's what the media does.
I'm not doing
that. In fact, another guy that's in that class, that
he
second
is a certified winner. That is what I'm saying. Okay.
So real quick, and I'm doing this because Playmaker's here.
Sure.
Right now, I'm talking right now. You got who's higher? Quarterbacks in the NFL, who's higher? Jalen Hurts or Stafford?
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Right now,
I want to
Jalen
hear
Hurts.
his answer.
Yeah. slight edge to Jalen Hurts. He has the years left. Stafford is on the downward.
No.
And hold on. And I admitted to Playmaker when we were in Radio Row, because he said to me, and he said to me, if it didn't snow, the Rams were the better team that day.
No, what I said was if it wasn't for Jalen Carter.
No, you also said the snow. You also said
I never blamed the snow. I never blamed the snow.
I got receipts because you said it. You said it to me when we was okay. All right.
No, I never said it was the snow.
I know what I heard.
When I brought up the snow, I was saying how everybody else was saying it was about the snow, and I said it wasn't me. I was saying that if we didn't make the mistakes that we made, we win the game. Because when that safety happened, that stadium was on pins and needles.
You know what, Eric? I apologize because you getting smoke that wasn't meant for you. Like when I saw who you had on here, I hurried up and hopped in because I really wanted to have that Jalen Hurts conversation. Sir, your team won the Super Bowl, have Super Bowl MVP. Congratulations is all we should be saying, dog.
And that's fine. But I appreciate all y'all coming on because I know y'all gonna be transparent and real with me. I don't need the smoke. I want it, and from y'all, I appreciate it. All I am saying is, based on what this man has done within his career, and I'm speaking about Jalen Hurts right now, the fact that in his 4-year career as a starter, he has been to 2 Super Bowls, he's won 1. He has had seasons of 10, 11, 12, 13 wins plus. He has gotten this team to division titles, to NFC championship games, and to Super Bowls. With no disrespect to Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Every year, they have an opportunity to dethrone Patrick Mahomes. Every year, they are given that shot based on the team, based on the organization, the entire 9 yards. Who do we always put in the postseason when we do our early bird preseason prediction? We always put Kansas City in there. We always put Baltimore in there. We always put Buffalo in there. And more times than not, we'll throw one to Joe Burrow. In the NFC, and over the last 3 seasons, I'll say it like this. You put Detroit, San Francisco, Philadelphia, stack rank everybody else based on what we have seen. But for today, for this moment, for right now, Jalen Hurts is in the conversation with regard to Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. He is it. That his name it is the 4. It is the 4 of them. For the simple fact, he's met Patrick twice in Super Bowl, and it's 1-1. So should we be blessed? Not saying that I want this to happen. If it happens, fantastic. If it happens out in California next year in 2026, y'all can call it tired. Y'all can call it whatever you want to call it. I call it the rubber match between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles to see who truly is. But I promise you this. If Philadelphia should be that successful to get back to the Super Bowl, to face Kansas City in the rubber match, that will be, for me, the test of all tests. Because if you did it once, phenomenal. Do it twice.
I was
Patrick Mahomes.
Nobody on this call thinks Philly is going back to the Super Bowl next year. We shouldn't. Like, none of the 3 of us want to see Philly back in the Super Bowl next year. I know I don't.
I know you don't.
We in the same conference, of course not.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? That's the point I'm making.
No, but I put it to you like
this. That's why.
But I put it to you like this. I wanted, and I talked to you about this. I was mad because I didn't get my playoff matchup. I wanted Detroit because I felt Detroit was the best team in the NFL. Yeah, and I truly still believed that it was in the moment. But you don't understand how much I have notes. I don't even know where they're at right now because I had to redo my office. So I got back from Radio Row and the National Scouting Combine. I had notes ready for the NFC Championship game in Ford Field. And when they came to Philly, I was like, you mean to tell me I got to face Washington again in the rubber match?
Yes.
But we hung 55 on them.
Yeah,
we hung 40 on Patrick Mahomes. 55 plus 45. Ain't that 95? Yeah. Mm-hmm. We hung 95 points in 2 games. Oh, yeah. When you think of I-95, what do you also think of? The city of Philadelphia and the 215. Just
I'll
I
say
just like to
this.
throw that out there.
My last thing is with Ray asking about Dak, and I agree with what Playmaker said, is that Howie would put the right people around him. So, I mean, the Saquon's there.
You can't put Dak and Kellen Moore together because that didn't work.
No, that was Mike McCarthy right there. Don't even try that. That was Mike McCarthy.
But I mean, look, with Jalen, I mean, yeah, you win a Super Bowl MVP, and I get what Ray's saying. Automatically doesn't, if you're going to say, oh, somebody's elite, this and that, he can win a Super Bowl, he can run a team. The way he played and that huge run play, I mean, when he went up the middle, it was like, good God. And the few design runs they had, like he did. I mean, I agree with Ray. He did what he needed to do, but he did it at the level to where when the defense was whooping that ass, it was the best. It was the best complimentary football that you could play, all levels in a Super Bowl, especially now since they changed the kick rule, so you can't onside kick any earlier than the fourth quarter. But it was the complimentary football was insane. The defense was dominant, and Jalen Hurts. I mean, to the point, he didn't do anything to lose the game, but he delivered the throws. And my one thing, and I don't know if it drove you guys, if you're watching, but when Saquon was in the backfield, that defense was stacked to stop him. And but 52 yards, 4 yards rushing, whatever he had. But it's like every time he was back there, they didn't switch up their defense. And Hurts would throw for a first down, or Dallas Goedert got open, and even Devontae Smith Jahan Dotson, I know early on, right, had a few. And it's like, as good as Steve Spagnuolo is, I think that, like, okay, we're going to stay disciplined because Saquon's going to bust one off. I mean, what was his longest run? Like 9 yards? I think 9.5 yards.
10.
What's that?
10.
25
right, so
to 57.
Right. Which again, I mean, and he caught some passes too, because he had 40, he had like 48 yards out of the receiving.
He was targeted 6 for 40. His
40,
longest was 22.
Right. Yeah.
See,
So I mean, look,
that's my point.
You're aiming to contain him, and you're going to say Jalen Hurts beat us like that. And I mean, the defense whooped him, but Jalen Hurts offensively flat out whooped him.
Yeah, when you have that kind of, it's kind of like Baltimore. It's like you're gonna have to pick what you're gonna deal with based on what Saquon had done the last 6-7 games of the regular season, and then in the playoffs. You could clearly see the game plan was, we ain't about to let him beat us. And Jalen said, okay.
Right.
Okay. Deal with this.
That's all that needed to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
That is all that needed to happen. Yep. Gentlemen, I thank you
Super Bowl champs, Philadelphia Eagles. I love saying that.
And I know you do, Mike. I appreciate you.
No, you don't.
The three of you joining me here tonight as we, in fact, celebrate, the Super Bowl 59 world champion.
I mean, don't say
Philadelphia Eagles.
We not celebrating nothing. You celebrating.
Yes, I am celebrating. I'm gonna see you. I'm gonna see you next year. I'm not gonna see you next year, Playmaker. I don't believe we don't see each other.
Yeah, you do. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I'm telling you this right
now.
I'm telling you this right now, right here. You can mark it down, February 10th, 2025. When they make that schedule, it's gonna be Rams Eagles opening night.
Yeah, because you both finished in first place. So
it's gonna be Rams Eagles opening night.
Yeah, I mean, even just based off that, like, schedule wise, I don't know which divisions got which, but like,
yeah, they don't have to. The East doesn't have to play the West next year. The fact that you guys finished finished first.
So who do the East have next year in the NFC?
I don't know.
Either way,
let's see. We played the North. We played the North, and we played the South. So I guess then it would be.
It ain't the West. The point is, because all three of us won our division, our teams will see each other next year. Like that, people used to wonder how they kept getting those Peyton Manning Brady matchups all the time, and that's how. Yeah. Like whether y'all see the North or not, Detroit finished first, so y'all gonna see us next year.
Yep.
The Rams finished; they won the West. We're gonna see the Rams regardless. So let's just say I'm the North, and we get the NFC South. Let's say we get the whole NFC South. That's 4 games, and then it's gonna be whatever we get cross schedule. Our own conference is 6. That's 14 games. And then the last 3, we're going to get the 2 division winners in the NFC.
Right.
For 2
So we do see the NFC North. We see the AFC West. And so that's
14 games. So the AFC West is 4. The NFC North is 4. Your division is 6. Your other 14. 2 will be the 2 division winners in the same conference.
So
And then
the other
the
three,
next
you're gonna
one
get a
from the
cross-conference
AFC.
one seed.
Yeah.
So
The other
the way the
three
scheduling works, you
will
get 6
be-
against your conference, 6
You get
against the
Tampa.
in-conference division. I mean, 4 against the in-conference division, 4 against cross-conference division, and then whichever division you didn't get in conference, you match up with the team that finished the same as you.
Yep.
So,
So
if you
we'll get
finish fourth,
our 3 games are Tampa, Green Bay, Buffalo. No, not Green Bay, because we see your entire division. Buffalo, Tampa,
the Rams.
And the Rams.
And the
and the
Rams.
Rams.
That'd be
Tampa,
Rams.
Tampa,
Yeah.
Rams, and Buffalo.
So that's so y'all. So what they did was you got your 6th conference, your division in the NFC is us. Your division in the AFC is whoever it is.
Mahomes,
The West. So then that's
Right.
14 games.
14.
You get the
Yep.
other 2 in conference, which is the South with Tampa Bay and the West with the Rams.
No, it's only one in the it's only one in the NFC. It's 2 in the AFC.
No, it's 2. It's 2 in the NFC.
Oh no, the Rams. You're right.
Yeah. And then
So
you
South-
get one cross conference that match up with your seed, which is Buffalo.
And that's Buffalo. Yeah, that's our schedule.
Yep.
All right. So I'll see all y'all next year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know
Looking
you're gonna win
forward
2
to
games. You got Dallas. I mean, you'll win 2.
I ain't worried about them. I'm not worried about them or the Giants.
By the
That's
way,
4
when
wins
this
right
goes
there.
off, y'all go ahead and tune in to ESPN. This still don't look right to me, man. Luka made his debut tonight.
Oh, Lakers, yeah.
How do you do? Or how's he doing? Actually, I
The
can't
game
see.
it just started. It started at 10:30.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. Gentlemen, always a blessing. Thank you so much for joining me here tonight on the Sports Reader. Much love to all of y'all. We will definitely chop it up soon. Listen, Combine is coming up. A lot of talent. And, of course, all eyes are going to be on what happens with Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Shador Sanders. It's going to be interesting. I will say that. And then, of course, the draft in Green Bay this year. Who does Tennessee take at number 1? I think is the question that we're going to be talking about. Plus free agency. Football, man, it might have ended as far as playing, but the business side and the next level is finna start right back up. 16 days until the start of the 2025 NFL Combine in Indianapolis. So much love. Everybody stay blessed. I will talk to y'all soon. And again, yes, we are the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl 59 all the way live champion, Philadelphia Eagles. For Playmaker, Mike Harrison, and my man, the sports reporter without pay, Ray Lindy, man, Eric Wilson. Peace.